And we are live and we are back. Let's go. I'm Cory, your host, one half of the FinallyFit podcast. And I'm back like I never left with another installment of Money Mindset here on the FinallyFit podcast. We discuss health and wealth, finance and fitness, and everything in between. We want to make sure you save more and say less and keep making better your best. Yes, yes. And I know y'all see the topic of today's video. Y'all like, Cory, where have you been? Y'all, life was life in pretty much end of September, all of October. Significant things I had to handle, and my time was just not in the position. I didn't have enough time to record. Long story short, I said things to handle, still things I have to handle, but things have turned the corner. A lot of stuff has been going on the personal side of things, but I'm back, and I thought it just so happens that things are, my time is freeing up on things I have to handle just as the election ended. So why not drop an episode about whoever won? But coming off the election, y'all know what we're talking about today. Obviously, President Trump, not president elect, no longer former president, but president elect Trump, and what he's going to do to the economy, or at least what he's been campaigning on, how that's going to impact the economy. I don't know how much this article is going to get into taxes per se. CBS Money article, I believe, but it's going to get into some things that Trump is looking to do for our economy. But before we get started, make sure you comment, like, share, subscribe. Shout out to the YouTube algorithm. Make sure you leave those rating reviews on the podcast platforms as well. My information, as well as my co-host Jordan information, can be found in the description on YouTube. Also, as well, mic issues. Y'all complained a couple of videos ago about the mic issues. I got it. The issue is right now I'm talking. I don't hear any issues. And I wasn't hearing any of the previous issues or previous videos. I've switched out the cord, didn't switch out the mic. I switched out the cord to troubleshoot. I got two mics, so I switched out the cord, the same mic. Switch out the cord, see if the cord is the issue, and if that's not, then I'm gonna go back to the cord I was using and then switch mics so I can figure out what exactly is having the issue. But I do have new mic. I don't want to just throw away everything for the other one because there's a cord and a mic that's technically separate. So I'm trying to figure out what the exact issue is, and we're going to continue troubleshooting that. So if there's still mic issues, I apologize. I'm so sorry. All right. Monthly car payment is still the same, $735. We're gonna see what happens when President Trump gets back in office. It's about to be crazy on the internet. I mean, internet has already been blowing up. Obviously, as you can imagine, President Trump had a pretty comfortable lead. I wouldn't call it a full-blown landslide. It wasn't something like Reagan or Nixon where he won every state, but like one or two. But it was a pretty comfortable lead as far as electoral college, where we're going to get into what this new economy may possibly look like for President Trump. All right. And last but not least, this is for entertainment purposes only. Myself, nor Jordan, or business professionals in the year is for entertainment purposes only, and you need to seek out a professional and do your own research before taking any action. All right, let's get into it, y'all. I'm back like I never left. Here we go. President Trump and this economy, Lord knows there's some people so pissed. But I was thinking I was going to do something where like get into everything. We could talk about abortion, immigration, all these different things. We're going to, ramp back up slowly. I mean, President Trump obviously is not going anywhere. So it would just be easier to talk about the other things, something like, a national abortion ban or something like immigration, as those laws do or don't get put into play. It's not going to be something like the student loans where we're just going to keep on talking about it indefinitely. Like student loans is like no longer an issue. Democrats didn't even talk about it at all. Vice President Harris didn't even bring up student loans, I believe, at all during this campaign. But hey, we're gonna get into the economy because we got Trump's tax cuts. They're scheduled to, and not were, but they're scheduled to end at the end of 2025. President Trump is going to be back in office, and he's looking to extend those and make them permanent, and also have some other changes on there. But they're not going to be permanent. Another president can get in and just make some new tax laws. So permanent meaning they're going to be indefinite until somebody else changes them, which at some point in time, there will be another Democratic president and they'll probably change them, or even a new Republican president. They might change them as well. But let's get into it, y'all. 5 ways Trump's next presidency could affect the U.S. economy and your money. Here, I still got the different setup too. So, we got the old little screen sharing still going. All right, here we go. And this was by CBS Money Watch by Amy Peachy, edited by Elan Allen Schurter. Here we go, y'all. President-elect Donald Trump's victory in the November 5th election highlights the frustration of millions of voters, with many Americans noting in exit polls on Tuesday that they're still hurting from the highest inflation in 40 years and dissatisfied with the nation's economic trajectory. I want to be very clear. You can say that President Trump is the reason the inflation occurred. However, he was not the sitting president when the inflation occurred, and that's how it works. Whoever was sitting, that's who's going to have to deal with it. Just like being quarterback, right? You get all the credit you get all the credit when they lose. You get supposed to take none of the credit when you win, right? I mean, it's just that simple. Unfortunately, as far as from Democrats' perspective or a Democrat perspective, President Biden, who's still President Biden, but inflation, all that stuff occurred when he was in office. It's that simple. So he's going to get tagged with it. That's just how it's going to work, and you got to understand that from a Democrat standpoint. Also, too, I mean, at the end of the day, Democrats, there are a lot of things that people on the left are worried about occurring, and I think the biggest thing is that the Senate was lost by Democrats. You had control of the Senate. As far as Democrats, they lost it, and now they may have to deal with those repercussions because the Senate, if the Democrats still control that majority vote, that 51 plus, that simple majority, they could have blocked any Supreme Justice nominees that President Trump put up, and they could make sure that no national abortion ban would get through. Senators, even though we have the midterm elections or we vote technically every 2 years, senators are elected for 6 years. It'd be different if it was representative or representatives or Congress, but senators are in their seats for 6 years. Representatives, they're in their seats only for 2 years. So if you were to cap it blue and these seats didn't flip in the Senate, you'd have been good for the next 6 years in principle. All right, as long as no one passed away, stepped down, anything like that. But that's something that I think a lot of people miss as far as how important the Senate is. Senate is arguably the most important part as far as how things get done in the federal government from a legislative standpoint. The president can't just come in and just do whatever they want. Right? They have executive orders, but that's to enable or enhance the power of the executive branch slash all the federal agencies that we have. That's what the president can do. But Trump just can't get up in there and pass a law or put someone on the bench in the Supreme Court. That's not how it works at all. But since everything is looking red, he's going to be in a position where he can get things passed easier. And that's the part I think people are missing. Trump ran a campaign that vowed to tackle those issues as far as the economy and inflation, pledging to end the inflation nightmare and bring prices down very quickly. He also offered a myriad of tax cuts to various groups, ranging from senior citizens to homeowners, as well as to finance some of those cuts through new tariffs on imports from China and other nations, and to deport millions of undocumented immigrants. I guess we might be getting into all the issues in this article again. I do not read these articles ahead of time. Shout out to the first-time listeners, but those look like those might be the 5 points that we're going to see. In the aftermath of Trump's win, economists and policy experts are assessing how those policies might impact the economy as well as consumers' wallets. Already, Wall Street is predicting that his policies could boost corporate growth, sending the S&P 500 by as much as 2.2% on Wednesday. Yes, the stock market went dumb on Wednesday. Yes, technically you guys hearing this on a Friday. It's Thursday, I'm recording this. But on Wednesday, the stock market went crazy once it reopened after President Trump was elected again to be the 47th president of the United States. I think the Dow is up like 3.5%. That's a crazy high increase for just one day. One day you look for like a 1% return in one day. That's like, let me see. The average stock market return this day. Because I would be surprised the average stock market return in one day is 1%. Yeah, the average daily that's day trading. It's not giving me. Yeah, the average daily is anywhere from -1% to 1%. So that's it can average -1% as well as a 2% swing. But I mean, you're talking about 3.5% or 2.2. That was 3.5, I think 3.57, something like that. But we got 2.2 here for the S&P 500. That's crazy. All right. But some experts note Trump's plans may boost inflation, potentially hurting consumers who are hoping for relief at the checkout counter. I'm trying not to get ahead of myself. I'm just going to wait to see what they're going to talk about and not just give my thoughts on all the things that President Trump campaigned. The devil will be in the details. Lord have mercy. Ed Mills, Washington policy analyst at investment bank Raymond James, told CBS Money Watch the Trump tax trade, tariff, and immigration agenda could have significant economic impacts and raise concerns about a second wave of inflation. I mean, again, back to inflation. Inflation, the issue is not inflation. The issue is how high inflation is. All right. Inflation is going to occur every year. They want it to be anywhere from 2 to 4%. The issue when it's above that 4%, okay, close to 10%, which I believe it was in 2022, going into 2023, I believe. The issue is when inflation is so high or is high over multiple years, or when, like we had coming out the pandemic, it's such a quick spike in the inflation. That's the issue. There's not going to be no inflation. All right. So I think that's always the thing when you're looking at these articles in relation to the economy / inflation. When they're talking about he's going to be lowering inflation, not eliminating it. And I think some people think inflation is supposed to be eliminated. It's not. That's not how it works. If you want to continue to have your income increase, then you're going to continue want inflation to occur as well. I don't know how you think you're going to make more money every year at your job and things not to go up in price. That makes no sense. If your wage is if your income, your wage is going to inflate, then prices need to inflate as well. I mean, where do you think your job's getting the money from to pay you? If they're not just laying everybody off but you, I mean, then you're going to have, hella work to do at work. All right. To be sure whether Trump can respond to voters' most pressing economic issues isn't certain, especially in the House of Representatives. Flips to Democrats. Let me see. Did it flip? No, right now. Still, we got 211. I'm looking at right now, 211. Democrats is at 199. Republicans are at 211. They got two seats. Ooh, it's a crazy looking map. How many more? That's not what I wanted. Yeah, the race. We're still waiting for these House races to come in. So we'll see. But if it's looking all right for the federal government, country has spoken. But it's going to be hard though to get some stuff passed if the Democrats do control the House. Now, it's not going to be as hard as it would be if they control the Senate or something like, again, Supreme Court justice. Since they control the Senate, if it's Justice Thomas and Justice, I can't remember the other justice that is going to look to retire, possibly with Trump being elected. But the Senate, they control that. The House has no say. Now, I think a lot of people, Congress a lot of times gets interchanged, but it's sometimes and most of the time it's good to delineate between is it the House of Representatives or the Senate that we're talking about here. And again, the House may flip to Democratic control, which could stymie his plans to extend the tax. And they would do that because you need both the House and the Senate to have a simple majority vote on a law to get it in front of the president, so in front of Donald Trump here. And if the Democrats control the control the House, then they would at least be able to hold it off for 2 years. Because again, like I said, the House of Representatives we vote for every 2 years, not every 6 like senators. Right? Here are 5 ways Trump's policies impact the economy and your money. Your money under Trump's tax plan. All right, we're gonna get to the tax plan here. 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act was set to expire in 2025. As I said, these include the law's lower tax brackets and expanded standard deduction. Now, what also happened with TCJ, Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, is they removed the personal exemption. So the personal exemption was at the state level, or so they didn't remove it, they capped it. They capped the personal exemption and they removed what's the other thing they removed? They capped the personal exemption and removed your ability as far as the deductions you could take for people inside of your household. Let me get the right thing because I don't want to be doing misinformation here. If there was ever a time to make sure I'm saying the correct thing. Give me 1 second, y'all. Got an equation and everything. It says like 4 steps, give me examples. Yeah, personal exemptions. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. You can't claim the personal exemption for the people in your household. There we go. I was right in saying that. All right, bet. So there's that we're dealing with as well. Dumb people. I was like, what? I'm talking about dumb people. All right, Trump also wants to provide deeper tax cuts for some individuals and businesses, with his campaign proposing lowering the corporate tax rate to 15% from its current 21%. Before President Trump had lowered it from to 21%. I believe it was previously 35%, but it was like our income tax brackets as far as it progressed to the 35%. Everyone didn't pay it. 35% was like the cap. Whereas where it's at now, everyone just pays a flat 21%. So some people, I think the options were 15 and 35%. Anyways, there were some people who were paying less than 21% as far as businesses, but now everyone is paying just a flat 21%. So those small businesses end up seeing an increase in taxes, where these larger businesses end up seeing a decrease in their taxes. President Trump has floated the idea of eliminating personal income taxes on many type of earnings. Yeah, no taxes on no taxes on overtime tips. Going to be crazy. From tips to Social Security benefits. It is interesting that Social Security is taxed when it is literally tax money, right? Don't we fund Social Security with our tax dollars, and we tax the tax dollars? All right, but further details have yet to come. He has concepts of a plan. I think that was his greatest quote during this whole thing. I have concepts of a plan. Anyways, Trump's combination of tariffs and tax cuts would rank as the sixth biggest tax cut since 1940, according to a recent tax foundation. Tariffs. For those who don't know, tariffs is when there is a tax on imports. Long story short. So we get, let's say China is sending us over some steel, or they're sending us over whatever. A tariff would be a tax on that import, and usually that tax or the increase in price is going to generally be passed on to the consumer. That's usually the simple, business 101. If I'm buying whatever it is, item A for $100, if there's now, let's say for simple math, and I'm selling it to you for $200, right, as the business, well, now if there's 100% tax on this item, now this item is no longer $100, it's $200, and so I'm going to sell it to you for $400, right? So I can keep the double profit. Long story short, from a math standpoint of how tariffs would work. They're more complicated than that, but that's just a quick summary of that. Tariffs are a tax on imports. So when other countries send us things, there's going to be a tax on it. All right, how Donald Trump's proposal could impact your income. Donald Trump is proposing to extend the 2017. All right, so we're just looking here. I mean, I'm not going to go through this whole thing, but it's just showing you what the range would be of your income. Also, too, I know the new tax brackets came out, but y'all know at the end of the year, going to the beginning of the year, I dropped a how to prepare for the next year, and that's when we're going to go over the tax brackets and all of that type of stuff. Our IRA limit increases, all those different type of things, 401k changes. All right, if Trump is able to enact these tax code changes, personal income taxes would decline for all income groups, but the biggest beneficiaries would be high income households, according to analysis from the Penn Wharton budget model. That research assesses Trump's proposed tax cuts, but doesn't include the impact of tariffs. That means a middle-class family with earnings of about $80,000 a year will get a tax break of about $1,740 in 2026, the analysis found. While top earning households with incomes of more than 14 million would see their taxes reduced by $375 and short $1,000. So, and that's the part where people were giving misinformation. A lot of people were saying, you got to make your 20 million, 200 million, whatever it is to get the benefits. No, this is telling you right here, middle class, 80,000, which, I mean, it's got to be a lot of people making, $80,000 in the middle class are going to see the tax benefit as far as these cuts. Now, one of the issues is that for people who have, I won't say extremely low incomes, but on the lower income spectrum, as far as in that 10%, 12% range, they may see an increase in taxes because of the personal exemption claims that you could make is no longer there. Now, the standard deduction was doubled. However, when you could claim roughly $4,000 per person in your household for personal exemptions, and now that's been removed, mathematically, the larger families, so really 5, 6 people plus, are actually paying more in taxes because the standard deduction is less than what they were getting before these tax changes. Now, one could say if you're in the 10% tax bracket, 12 or even 12% tax bracket, and you have 5 children. You have a family of 3. I'm saying family because you could claim the whole family, so including yourself. But if you're a family of 5, family of 6, and you're in the 10-12% tax bracket, you have other issues. Shout out to Dave Ramsey, but no one wants to accept that. I'll just pull it up real quick, like what the tax brackets are. And so someone can explain to me what you're doing, where you were doing this at on a family of 5, family of 6. Like, what are we talking about? That's 2023. Why would the IRS show me? I don't want to look at it. Let's look at the 2025 tax brackets. I'm lying. I don't want to look at them yet. Look at 2024. Let's share this real quick. Look at this. Merely filing joint. So if you're in the 12% tax bracket or lower, right? And let's say it's a single parent, right? If you're 12% or lower, you're making less than $50,000 raising 3 kids. Where are you at? Even if you're married, you're making $95,000 raising 3 kids or more. Come on now. Like, you got other problems. You need to make more money. Because for those of us who's in this 22% tax bracket and up, the 6-figure earners, by the way, is once you get the 22% tax bracket, we try and tell y'all, like, look, we still need more money too. So you making less money than us with more kids. I know you struggling. Come on now. What, like, and you got more debt. Never mind. Now see, it's the late night stream about to go off. But that's where it gets confusing. Like, you got less money than people who have also less kids than you. You got more kids and less money. Like, I know you're struggling. That's just by definition. Most things cost the same for everybody. If we both go to the grocery store, the same grocery store, we're gonna pay the same price for these goods. If we go to the same gas station, we're gonna pay the same price for this regular gas. Most things cost the same for everyone as far as relative to the area that you live. Like, if I go on Amazon and try to buy this item, you're gonna pay the same price as me. What? What could happen with inflation? Consumers rank inflation as one of the biggest economic concerns, still feeling the impact of soaring prices during the pandemic. Although the U.S. inflation rate has now fallen close to the Federal Reserve's 2% annual goal, many Americans still describe it as high because prices haven't come down. Rather, prices are simply rising more slowly than they did during the pandemic. Again, inflation needs to go down, and as prices rise, it wants it to be at that 2 to 4% range. It's an annual 2% goal. It's really 2 to 4. You're not going to be like, oh no, it's at 3%. The world's over right now. Economists have cautioned that Trump's plan could reignite inflation. That's because tariffs, That's because tariffs essentially, again, they're essentially sales tax paid by American consumers rather than the countries that export goods to the U.S. On top of that, Trump's plan to deport millions of immigrants could also boost inflation, as employers would likely face higher wages due to a labor crunch. Let's see how much they actually get into this before I just go on a tirade on this stuff. One thing too, I'm tired of people just saying deport immigrants. He said he wants to deport illegal immigrants. Like, we have to have a conversation and make sure we delineate between the two. He's not saying he's going to deport immigrants. If some immigrants are citizens, you can't deport them. He wants to deport the illegal immigrants. Two main pillars of his policy proposals, tariffs and mass deportations, are likely to cause prices to rise, as they will make it more difficult for businesses to produce goods. Jacob Chanel, chief economist at LendingTree, told CBS Money Watch. Trump's plan to levy 10% tariff on all imports and 60% on Chinese goods. 60%, 10% on, so there we go, 10% on all imports and then 60% specifically for Chinese goods. That could add $1,700, not thousand, a year in additional costs for a typical middle class household. It's less than $200 a month. We got just stop drinking. If the issue is a $1,700 increase for middle class families, now you're going to say they don't have any money. True, but $1,700 over a year is not that much. You got people in Chicago got an issue with their property taxes damn near going up 100% for their homes, and y'all talking about $1,700. Like, now added on to it, I guess you say compounds, Cory, makes it worse. But it's $1,700 can, again, if it's the shout out to Dave Rain, where Dave at? Yo, lucky I can't find Dave. Shout out to Dave Ramsey. He said you got a bigger issue. What was it, $600? I forget what he said and went viral. But if $1,700 is going to ruin you as far as an increase, which is less than $200 a month, that's barely $150 a month in increase. Come on now. According to the nonpartisan, okay, this is according to Peterson Institute for International Economics. Trump's plan could boost the inflation rate by as much as 1 percentage point, bringing it to an annual inflation rate of about 3.4, and the Fed's goal is 2.4. It's 2 to 4. It's not. I mean, their goal is 2, but it needs to be in a 2 to 4% range. And let's be clear, shout out to 3.4% in inflation. It's better than the damn 8 or 9 we were experiencing when Biden was in office. Like, what are we talking about here? If you add 1% to next year's inflation numbers, we should say bye to rate cuts. Again, the Fed said they're looking to lower rates. They want to get it back down as far as I think the 2% by the end of 2026, I believe it was. So it's going to be interesting to see because Trump's not going to have power over the Federal Reserve. So it's going to be interesting to see how his tax cuts impact the economy, impact inflation, and then how the Fed is going to respond to, if inflation continues to go up or at a rate that they do not want it to, should I say, not continue to go up. That's redundant. All right, let's see. All right, so the tariffs here. I'm trying to find it again. When it comes to the tariffs, it's not that when it comes to the tariffs, it's not just making it so that the goods that we import cost more. Trump's explanation for his tariffs is that, and also he's had tax. I don't know if I'm getting to this. Going to be tax incentives as well, as far as for companies to build things in America. Trump is not just having these tariffs in place to have the price of goods increase and then possibly, you know, have inflation increase. President Trump's explanation of these tariffs or his goal with them is that American companies end up building more inside of the United States. And like I said, he's going to have tax incentives to, you know, lack of a better word, incentivize them to do that and bring more jobs here. Now, in the short term, it may cause prices to rise, but at some point in time, we have to have a conversation about American people about how much do we want to depend on other countries for our goods and services. The goal is, from President Trump's perspective, have more things being produced in America. Now, some people have made the case that in conjunction with deporting illegal immigrants, who is going to do the production? Well, we have well over 300 million people in America, and there are a whole bunch of people that complain about jobs and not being able to, make a decent living and things like that. And the goal of these tariffs would be to create more jobs here. Now, you're going to say, some people say on the left that we don't have the skilled labor to do these jobs. Well, does that mean that we don't bring more jobs here just because we don't have people here to do the jobs? Wouldn't we? What about the plan to make it so that we have the skilled labor here to build things? Like, the theory can't be we don't have people here to build stuff, so we're not going to build stuff. We should make it so people know how to build stuff. People used to be able to do stuff, right? I mean, they used to have what kind? My dad had an option to take a bricklaying class. And shout out to the baby boomers. My dad took a bricklaying class in high school. Yeah, modern day technology now is like coding and stuff, but I mean, blue collar type of jobs, things like that, plumbers, electrician, construction people, or the jobs we're talking about that deported and illegal immigrants are, we're going to have a shortage of. Those are skills that we will always need until we get to the point where we have literally full blown robots that are doing these jobs. We will always need people to do the infrastructure jobs, production type of jobs. I mean, is that simple? Could the economy grow faster? The economy could initially grow faster slightly under Trump's plan. Ooh, excuse me. To cut corporate tax cuts, but that impact could fade over time, especially due to the impact of deporting millions of illegal immigrants. That's immigrants here, according to Oxford Economics. I think if we know like where the illegal immigrants are, then what is stopping? Like, if they're here illegally, then what is stopping the current administration to no longer have them here illegally? I think there's such an assumption about like exactly how many illegal immigrants there are. And it's like, well, if you know where they at, why are they still here? The conversation on illegal immigration is insane to me. Now, you can talk about we need to pass different legislation, amendments, whatever you want to do on how to immigrate into this country. But illegal immigrants is non-negotiable. It is non-negotiable. You whether you want to build a wall, whatever it is, you can't come here. You can't go to another country illegally. As a U.S. citizen, you cannot illegally immigrate to an. You cannot be an illegal immigrant. Because people always have justification for people doing it here. It's insane, and the strain that it can put on the system as well. And a lot of people say that they're still paying taxes. Sure, they're paying taxes, but they're undocumented. That means the population. Oh, geez. That means I can't even. That means the population is not correct. So let's say you got in this town, you got, for simple math, 100,000 illegal immigrants, right? Well, if that city is slated to deal with 1 million people, it's from a population standpoint, but there's 1.1 million because there are 100,000 undocumented people. There's going to be a significant strain on everything: the schools, the hospitals, all those different type of things. That's what happened during COVID. A lot of people don't know. Again, I've already said this before. The main reason that things got shut down is because the hospitals were over capacity. If we run out of space in hospitals, people can't go nowhere. You got to shut everything down. That was one of the things. So when it comes to making sure that people immigrate here legally, part of that is to make sure we have the correct population count, or the census, or whatever number you want to say, or whatever statistic you want to use. But you need to know how many people are in a particular area so that you can have the services to service those people. What? Real GDP growth could be 0.3%. Okay, higher. The one thing I love about economics is that people continue to act like it's a foolproof plan. Like, we gotta wait to see what he implements, and we're gonna see what happens with the economy. But it's a global economy anyway, so there's so many things that impact. It's not just what President Trump is looking to pass. Well, housing become more affordable. That's probably not right. They're gonna say probably not due to deportation. The issue, by the way, isn't that housing making housing more affordable, in the sense of that housing is not affordable right now due to the interest rates dropping significantly during the panorama and people buying houses. Now those same people cannot sell those houses. They cannot. Most people, if they were to buy their house that they're in right now at the dollar amount that they bought it at in 2020, 2021, wherever it was, when we had those 2%, 3% interest rates, not if they brought up the value of their house has appreciated to just then, but with the current interest rates, or when we had them high 6, 7% interest rates earlier this year, into 2023, they couldn't afford the house that they're sitting in right now. And so those people can no longer sell their houses. And those houses are the affordable houses. Those are the starter homes. People didn't go out here during the panorama and buy a whole bunch of $1 million houses. They bought those $200,000-$300,000 houses. Those houses are now appreciated to $300,000, $400,000, $500,000. And they want to sell those houses so that the more starter homes are in the market. Here's the thing: new construction homes aren't cheap. New construction homes in general are going to be the most expensive homes. So we don't need more homes built. New things usually cost more than used things. So a new house, comparatively speaking, a new starter home is going to cost more than a used starter home. So we don't need more houses built. I'm not saying we don't need more houses built in general, but as far as dealing with this affordability crisis, or doing what Vice President Harris said, as far as $25,000 for towards the down payment or whatever it's for, it's like we don't need more houses being built. We need people to be able to transition out the current houses that they're in. We have plenty of houses available. We have probably close like 2 million, I think, houses available on the market, and that's with people who want to move not being able to move. We have affordability crisis for people who currently are own homes. I say own meaning they don't rent their home, meaning they're paying a mortgage. There are people who have a mortgage and they want to move, but they cannot afford to move. On top of people who wanted to move during the panorama, they end up, when I say, getting priced out, or they just didn't have the most competitive offer, and then interest rates end up spiking up, and so they're just sitting on the sidelines as well. Shout out to sideline Cory. They're sitting on the sidelines as well. Those two things are causing significant issues from an affordability crisis. And again, they're saying because you can ignite inflation. Okay, yeah, okay. So they're saying it's going to be things by inflation and possibly increasing due to its tax cuts. It's going to make the Fed not actually just because the Fed does a rate cut doesn't mean rates lower, but it can make the Fed not do their rate cuts. And they're going to say that means then that ensure rates being higher it makes it more expensive to borrow. Makes it more expensive to borrow means less people in theory are going to be getting mortgages. Second, deporting millions of undocumented immigrants, and it could impact the housing sector, which already faces a severe shortage of homes. There's not a shortage of homes because it relies on these workers to build new homes. Correct. But again, building new homes doesn't help with affordability. I don't. The theory cannot be that we need more new homes built, which in short are going to be the most expensive homes. That's not going to make it so more people can afford them. The issue is not that we need newer homes built. It's not that we don't have enough houses. They're telling you we don't have enough houses. That's not the case. I know plenty of people that want to move, but they can't move because they can't afford to move. It's not that there are no houses for them to move into. If there are no houses for people to move into, then we would need new homes. That's not the case. People just saying, "I can't afford to move." Not that I don't have a house to move into. They say, "I got it. I found it on Zillow, on Redfin. I can't afford it." Mass deportation proposal from President Trump would have a chilling effect on the construction industry, shrinking the already constrained labor force, installing badly needed new housing construction, she said. At the same time, proposed tariffs will increase building costs. Here's the one thing. Where is the conversation about creating a pipeline for Americans, mainly men, American men, to be able to do construction type of work? You can make a lot of money, doing construction work. Now, if you're going to say this is the immigrants are cheaper labor, it's like, I thought that was a whole issue with like having children in sweatshops that you're underpaying these people and having them do like all this strenuous labor. Now we're saying like, hey, pay these people a fair wage. Isn't that what y'all complain about the damn minimum wage about? I'm, I, I'd be so confused sometimes. Like, what is like? Do you want to pay people a fair wage or not? Don't say we can't have American citizens do construction jobs because then the people who are doing the jobs currently, undocumented immigrants, are being underpaid because they're undocumented immigrants. So we're underpaying them because they're undocumented. We're not giving them a livable wage. What they do when they come over here, usually most of the time, it's, I'm not going to say a number, but it's a lot of them to one particular, apartment or house, whatever it is. The whole family usually stays in one place. But now we're saying, hey, give American citizens these jobs. Well, no, we can't do that because then we have to pay them actual livable wage that we're not paying these undocumented immigrants, and it's going to mess things up. What? So we're supposed to keep? I thought you want to take care of the undocumented people when they come here because they're fleeing these war-torn countries or cartel-ran countries. We're gonna underpay them because they're undocumented. What? What? Think about that logic. Which is it? Will Trump's policies help your 401k? He ain't put no policies in yet, and the market already been jumping. Let me see. Oh yeah, this is the last one. Okay. I think 401. I mean, I believe historically. Excuse me. As I wrap up here, I think historically the market's always done better, like in comparison under Democrats versus Republicans as far as the president. Although I don't think that's the case between Biden and Trump. But hey, you know, possibly right. Corporate tax cuts. We don't know. The stock market is global. There's too many things that can impact it. It may or may not impact your 401k. If you're a millennial and Gen Z, this section you can just fast forward to the end as I do the wrap up or stop listening. Thanks for tuning in. How it impacts your 401k is completely irrelevant because you're not retiring anytime soon. Now, some people maybe Gen X and obviously baby boomers. It's important to understand it's going to impact your 401k. But for Gen Z and millennials, you got 30 plus years to continue to invest, 25 to 30 years plus to continue to invest. So who cares? But they're talking about how corporate tax cuts could make it increase lighter regulations on businesses, right? And help them profits, right? Again, like I said, Wednesday, the Dow and S&P 500 went crazy. Lower corporate taxes and or deregulation of the energy and financial sectors under a Trump administration could provide additional support. Salita Marcelli, Chief Investment Officer, America's UBS Global Wealth Management, said in an email. Goodness gracious. Other financial instruments could also get a boost, including cryptocurrencies. The crypto already went crazy too. due to Trump's pledge to make the U.S. the crypto capital of the planet. At the same time, much of these forecasts depend on pushing through changes right to the tax code regulations, right? So again, they're saying this change, or excuse me, this positive impact that they're talking about on 401k / the stock market depend on the getting an extension on the tax cuts that Trump is preparing to do that we mentioned earlier in the article, but that may be pretty hard to do, if not impossible, if Democrats take control of the House. However, based on the last thing that I shared on here, Republicans currently have the lead in the House. Virtually all these policies were tough to implement, even with Republican control over the House, the Senate, and the presidency. Said, with that in mind, we might not see much change at all in the broader economy. We need to see change in the economy. We need the economy to get better. And that's the one thing, too, I think everyone should agree, like a better economy is not a bipartisan issue. We want there to be growth in the job market. We want there to be wage increases. We want inflation to be maintained. We want people to continue to be able to prosper in this country. We don't want things to be stagnant. We don't want people to be struggling to feed their families. I think everyone can kind of agree on that. And each side, right, left and right, have different views on how to actually do that. He added, inaction from the next Trump administration could mean that the economy continues to chug along its current course. And things have been recovering, but again, it's too much with the economy to say exactly why it is. But hey, Trump put those tariffs in when he was in office. I believe President Biden not only kept them, I know he kept them, but I believe he added another one in as well, or something like that. When I say another set of tariffs as well. So it's something to look out for. But all right, y'all, that's it. Locked and loaded again. 5 ways Trump's next president could affect the U.S. economy and your money, again, by Amy Peachy, edited by Alan Schroeder, CBS News Money Watch. All right, y'all, that's it. Locked and loaded. End of the episode. Again, necessities, debt payments, investments, lifestyle. We only talked about economics on this one mainly, so we'll leave any national abortion ban talk, we didn't get too much into. We talked about immigration on the financial side, but like what immigration, a mass deportation of illegal immigrants and undocumented immigrants looks like when President-elect Trump finally gets into office and we see whatever actual laws are before us. He already said, I believe, he's going to do an executive. What did I see about an executive order he's already planning on doing? Here we go. Oh yeah, he's talking about the birth rate. So for those who don't know, again, I was trying to give you guys information. So birthright by land, citizenship by land, and citizenship by blood. So long story short, this is how citizenship. I don't want to go to Reddit, but here we are. Why is this called map porn? Like, out of all the things to call this. Let me share this screen again real quick, y'all. But this is going to show how citizenship is determined. So as most people know, if you were born in the United States of America or any of, Puerto Rico, whatever it is, then you're a citizen. It's that simple. There we go. So pretty much, all of the West is by that. So blue means birthright by land. So if you're born there, that's how you get your citizenship. If you're born in blue nations, you are automatically offered citizenship, irrespective of your parents' nationalities. For the red, if born in the red nations, your citizenship depends on the citizenship of your parents. All right. However, this is what President Trump said he is going to do in relation to that.
On day one, as part of my plan to secure the border on day one, my new term in office, I will sign an executive order making clear to federal agencies that under the correct interpretation of the law, going forward, the future children of illegal aliens will not receive automatic U.S. citizenship. It's things like this that bring millions of people to our country, and they enter our country illegally. As part of my plan to secure the border on day one, my new term in office, I will sign an executive order.
And again, so he'll do an executive order for that. So in short, That's something he said he's going to do day one right away. Now, when somebody was interpretation of the law, the 14th Amendment and Supreme Court rulings don't speak in favor of that. They actually say, regardless of your parents' citizenship, if you're born in the United States of America, you're a U.S. citizen. But as you can see, the entire Eastern Hemisphere, they don't do that, or they care about your parents' citizenship, whereas the Western Hemisphere, we don't do that. So interpretation of the law, 14th Amendment clearly speaks that that's not the case, even though there are arguments that the 14th Amendment is actually for slaves. So when slaves had children, so that their children became citizens, once I say for slaves, they were no longer slaves, but they were slaves at the time. So they technically weren't people, but it was mainly for that. But it's going to be interesting. I mean, he said he's going to do an executive order, which he can do on day one. So was it January 20th, 19th, whenever the hell he gets inaugurated, that's going to be done. But like I said, necessity, debt payments, investments, lifestyle is going to be very important for you to stop worrying about the federal government, how they're going to impact your life, and you take over and control of your life. All right, that's it, y'all. End of the episode. Remember, y'all, hit that like button, share and subscribe. Shout out to the YouTube algorithm. Make sure you do those rating reviews and comments on the podcast platforms as well. My information as well as my coach joint information can be found in the description on YouTube. It is getting late, so I know my eyes is like crazy low. I'm getting tired. My words are getting slurred. My memory, my brain is like all foggy. That's one benefit of me recording in the morning. I'm sharp, as they say. All right. Again, y'all, we back. All right. So we're going to be dropping back to consistent schedule. I got updates for y'all probably 2 or 3 of these 4 episodes. So probably like 3 weeks from now, almost a month from now, around Thanksgiving. In short, like Christmas present type thing. I got major updates to give you all. So some things will be changing, but all on the positive side. In short, going to give an explanation, why I was gone so long, but a lot of things were happening the last month or so that I had to take care of. But now I'm back. Hopefully the main thing is I hope that my mic issues are fixed. If not, I will switch out this cord and put a new mic in. Then if that doesn't work again, I'll keep this cord that I'm using now, the new cord and a new mic. And if that doesn't work, then I have to just buy a new mic. It's that simple. All right. But again, y'all, remember to save more and save less. Keep making better your best. And I'll catch y'all in the next one.